All right, hello and welcome to the Holon Network podcast for March 16th of 2023. This week I have joining me,
Hey, I'm Digital Tinker.
and I'm Gatorbite. Yo, Digital! How's it going today, my friend?
Bit of a slog.
Yeah.
I've been in training 9 to 5 for the past 4 days now. Almost
Oh,
at three.
oh boy. Lots of fun
So
studying, though?
there are parts of it that are interesting, and it's more reinforcement of like, wait a second, I know most of this already.
That's a good sign. Awesome.
But it's weird.
Why?
I've never done forensics before, so to go into a forensics class being like, wait a second, this is all familiar.
I just
Doesn't seem right.
I just imagine you from Jurassic Park. It's Unix. I know this.
But it's Windows, so it's not as excited.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fun. More registry keys.
Too true. Oh, yeah. So let's see. My side of the house. I got to go to Scale this last weekend, which was great being able to see folks in person. Ran into Dual D from the folks over at the scavenger hunt. Ran into Babbind, which was fun. And got to go do a couple different talks. Talk with Linux folks. Got a few new stickers, few new shirts, and yay! It was fun. Good to see folks. And that was after taking the mother-in-law back to Vegas for her flight going back. So, been a whirlwind of issues and different things going on, and now we've only got.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you'd mentioned right before we started that your ISP even showed up to fix something right before we were going to start.
Yeah, that I put in a help desk request 2 days ago because 2 days ago for the entire morning my upload speed was zero point 0.4 megabytes per second. I was plenty coming down because I think I'm paying for like 300 up and 40, excuse me, 300 down and 40 up, and they boosted it up a little bit because other ISPs are trying to run them out of town. I'm okay if they get run out of town, to be quite honest. I'm just waiting for fiber to get run. But um, I couldn't even do a video call or load a shared document because the upload was so slow. I would start to go try to edit the document, and somebody else. It was a horrible situation. Had to delay my work, delay my one-on-ones, and so they're like, "Oh, well, the soonest we can be out is Thursday." I'm like, "Seriously?" They're like, "Yep, it's Thursday between 1 and 5." Literally 5 minutes before the top of the hour, I get a call saying, "Hey, we're about 7 minutes out." I'm like, "Oh, hmm, bless your hearts." I just, oh, it looks like you need a new filter. We're gonna go ahead and put that in there because if it's too low, we can always boost the signal. But if it's too high, then we got to get a tech out. Oh, it looks like something's still broke, so we're gonna go ahead and put in another ticket for you to get that fixed. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Cool. And oh yeah, here's the squiggle wiggle marks from my Home Assistant. Every 5 minutes, it's registering how much my upload and download is, so I can show you exactly how long it was down for and what speeds because here's the squiggles. They're like, oh, we'll make sure to give you credit for that. Thanks. So yeah, we're running a little bit late. That's my fault. So thanks for your flexibility. So with all that, we ready to jump into tonight's news?
I think so.
Cool deal. Let's rock and roll. First thing up, Bitcoin price currently is $24,998.40. Gold per ounce is $1,929.70. Oil per barrel is $68.34. And Dogecoin is 0.07191. Our first story for tonight is actually, well, when we go through our different vulnerabilities and such, apparently something was broken and I didn't grab those. So I will grab that link and go plop here. We're going to CISA for the first one for the Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency. Vulnerability summary for March 6th. what popped up on your screen to check out?
I'm kind of curious what this is. Something called iGaming Modules Flash Games. So I don't know if this is some kind of Flash game revival project or what, but they have a vulnerability in version 1.1.0 that has been classified as critical. Affected is an unknown function of the file game.php. The manipulation of the argument lid leads to SQL injection. It is possible to launch the attack remotely. The name of the patch is a hex or a base 64 string. It is recommended to apply a patch to fix the issue. It is a CVE 2008 10003.
Wow.
All kinds of weird with that one.
Right? A little bit lower, a WordPress issue was found with WooCommerce Checkout Field Manager WordPress plugin before 18.0. They found it does not validate files to be uploaded, which could allow unauthenticated attackers to upload arbitrary files such as PHP on the server. CVSS score of a 9.8, CVE of 2022 4328.
You may have heard about this one before, but the Cisco IP phone 6871 firmware has multiple vulnerabilities in the web-based management interface that could allow an unauthenticated remote attacker to execute arbitrary code or cause a denial of service condition. For more information about the vulnerability, see the details section of the advisory, which is CVE 2023 20078.
All right, scrolling down our list, all sorts of different systems. We got POS management systems, judging management systems, online pizza ordering systems, all sorts of stuff all messed up. WebKit GTK has a vulnerability. The flaw was triggered when processing maliciously crafted web content that may lead to arbitrary code execution. Improved memory handling addresses the multiple memory corruption issues. CVSS score of an 8.8, CVE of 2019 8720.
Looks like Google Chrome has quite a few, so you might want to make sure you're up to date on it. Looks like they're all 8.8s and range anywhere from CVE 2023 1213 and mostly in order up to CVE 2023 1227. There are a few that are skipped.
Gotcha. And it looks like anything prior to version 111.0.556.3.64 is where these vulnerabilities were found. Scrolling. Hey, look at that. Vim had an issue. A heap-based buffer overflow in GitHub repository for Vim prior to 9.0.1376. CVSS score of a 7.8, CVE of 2023 1170.
Systemd before 247 does not adequately block local privilege escalation for some sudo configurations, e.g. plausible sudoers file in which the systemctl status command may be executed. Specifically, systemd does not let less secure to 1, and thus other programs may be launched from the less program. This presents a substantial security risk when running systemctl from sudo, because less executes as root when the terminal size is too small to show the complete systemctl output.
Oh.
That was a score 7.8 and a CVE 2023 26604.
Fun stuff. All right, scrolling down a little bit more. There was another Cisco IP phone 6871. Multiple vulnerabilities found in the web-based management interface for certain Cisco IP phones could allow unauthenticated remote attackers to execute arbitrary code or cause denial of service conditions. For more information, check out the vulnerabilities and the details in the section. A CVSS score of a 7.5, CVE of 2023 20079.
Another one from Vim with incorrect calculation of buffer size. That one's a 7.3 and CVE 2023 1175.
So one of the things I don't see on here that concerns me a little bit, and I think it's worth bringing up today since you and I are both running it, Home Assistant had a vulnerability.
Oh.
Let me bring up a news article on this real quick because I'd rather it bring to attention and folks know to go patch because it's an issue. It's got an honest-to-God CVE. Let's see. I'll add it to the show notes, but I'm going directly to the Home Assistant site and put this into our notes right in the right article. So, supervisor security vulnerability. We were made aware of a security issue impacting installations using Home Assistant Supervisor. A fix for the security issue has been rolled out to all affected Home Assistant users in the SuperUser auto update systems, and the issue is no longer present. You can verify you've received the update on Home Assistant About page, verify that you're running Supervisor 2023.03.1 or later. If you do not see a Supervisor version on the About page, you do not use one of the affected installation types and are not vulnerable. It's been mitigated as of 2023.3.0, but the version was released March 1st and has since been installed by 33% of the users. This was reported back on March 8th. So the problem with this one is that the security issues affected installation Home Assistants of Home Assistant OS and Home Assistant Supervised. This includes installations running the Home Assistant Blue and Home Assistant Yellow. Two other installation types are the Home Assistant Container, Docker, and Home Assistant Core, the own Python environment. They have not been affected. About the issue... So, Supervisor is the application as part of the Home Assistant OS and Home Assistant Supervised installations and is responsible for system management. The issue allowed an attacker to remotely bypass authentication and interact directly with the Supervisor API. This gives the attacker access to install Home Assistant updates, manage add-ons, and backups. Our analysis shows that the issue has been in Home Assistant since the introduction of Supervisor back in 2017. This is a CVE of 2023 27482. And we'll make sure to have a link to that on our notes as well. So
in 3 years, we get to hear about the next big hack that used Home Assistant to get into your network.
Right. So when I was listening to a couple other Linux podcasts, they were talking about how this Supervisor API is their own service, think like systemd, and it's the backbone of how Home Assistant is built. And since they built it from scratch, whenever you build something from scratch, you're going to have some critical things that you missed. So there's a strong possibility this is not going to be the last time that we hear something about this.
That does sound like they're pushing the update out automatically, so that's at least nice.
That is true. That is true. If you're running a more modern version, I know that it goes through and prompts you to go through and update that. I will say that right before the my ISP got here to try to fix stuff, I realized that I was running a couple of versions old. So I waited till they were done patching, updating, so I had all my settings there. And then the nice thing is that they do an auto backup before you do the install and update. So that as soon as the ISP was done, I hit that update button so it would start doing that.
And mine is currently running.
Good, there you go. There you go. So go patch your Home Assistants. Anything else that you wanted to bring up on that vulnerability list, or are we ready to move on?
I think we can move on.
Cool. Let's get into our first stories for this week, and I think the first one is yours.
India floats idea of dedicated tribunal to handle online offenses. India's government has started to consult some proposed details of its long awaited Digital India Act, including a declaration that the bill needed a dedicated adjudicatory tool for offenses committed online. A consultation document states the adjudicate got the first time, couldn't get the second.
All good.
Adjudicate court
Yes.
mechanism
It
should
works.
be easily accessible, deliver timely remedies to citizens, resolve cyber disputes, develop a unified cyber jurisprudence, and enforce the rule of law online. The outline of the Act also mentions disclosure norms of data collection and standards for keeping data anonymous. The Indian government held a consultation with stakeholders of the bill over the weekend, and according to the Ministry of Electronics and IT, that meant industry representatives, lawyers, intermediaries, and consumer groups were invited to talks. According to the ministry, Minister of State Rajiv, not going to figure that one out either,
Nope, Rajiv works.
said the bill guiding the principles include managing the complexities of the internet and rapid expansion of the types of intermediaries, addressing the risks of emerging technologies, protecting citizen rights, managing and setting guardrails for the varied intermediaries on the internet. So it goes on to a little bit more, but if I drop down a bit, nonprofit Internet Freedom Foundation is one of the critics. IFF Policy Director Pratik Warg added that the emphasis on being evolvable and rule-based was concerning. Fancy wordsmithing, but if this means that it will evolve through an empower executive rulemaking, which lacks legislative safeguards, then there is need for caution. He also said that although the consultation is meant to be public, there was no publicly shared registration process, and some attendees were initially turned away by not being on a list. I want to be optimistic about the process, I really do, but this victory lapping and headline management should give us some reason to be skeptical. This is going to be a very complex legislation requiring negotiation, hard trade-offs, and even going back to the drawing board. So this one got me thinking, what if the US decided to try and make an entire court circuit dedicated to just cyber issues?
Ooh. That I am not excited about that. Not excited about that at all.
You don't think it would be more efficient if they could actually build out an entire branch that was specifically trained on technology issues versus what we have now, where it's pretty much just whoever's oldest and gets elected or appointed in?
Give me just a second. So to answer your question on that, give me just a second. Y'all good, babe? Hang on just a second, Digital.
Okay.
Hey, babe, what's up?
Stupid pie is smoking out the whole house, and I can't find the other.
Other what? Hey, Digital, I'm gonna have to step away just for a minute. I will have you read the next one up, and I will be back ASAP.
Okay. So we'll come back to that discussion question and instead go on to Amazon sued for not telling New York store customers about facial recognition. Amazon did not alert its New York City customers that they were being monitored by facial recognition technology, a lawsuit filed Thursday alleges. In a class action suit, lawyers for the Alfredo Perez said that the company failed to tell visitors to Amazon Go convenience stores that the technology was in use. Thanks to 2021 law, New York is the only major American city to require businesses to post signs if they're tracking customers' biometric information, such as facial scans or fingerprints. Amazon introduced the Go stores in 2018, promising that customers could walk in, take whatever products they wanted off the shelf, and leave without checking out. The company monitors visitors' actions and charges their account when they leave the store. It opened its first New York location the following year and has 10 stores, all in Manhattan, according to its website. The lawsuit says that Amazon only recently put up signs informing New York customers of its use of facial recognition technology more than a year after the disclosure law went into effect. Amazon didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. For Amazon Go to successfully track its customers and items they take, it has to continuously monitor their bodies, says the lawsuit. To make this just walk out technology possible, the Amazon Go store constantly collect and use customers' biometric identification information, including by scanning the palm of some customers to identify them and by applying computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion that measures the shape and size of each customer's body to identify customers, track where they move in the store, and determine what they have purchased, it says. Perez is represented by Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, a legal advocacy group devoted to New York privacy protections. It means that even a global tech giant can't ignore local privacy laws. Albert Kahn, project director, said in a text message, "As we wait for long overdue federal privacy laws, it shows there is so much local governments can do to protect their residents."
Thanks for handling that. Apparently, we're trying to bake a new pie, and it decided to smoke up the entire house. So we needed fans.
Fun.
Yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun. Of course, if anything's gonna break, it's gonna be on the 1 year mark after the home warranty is up. So yay, this is fine. Just take another drink. So back to your question on the Indian float's idea for dedicated tribunal to handle online offenses. Your question was talking about what if the U.S. did this, and are there pros or cons to that?
And I specifically brought up that trying to get a more knowledgeable branch that would be preferably more informed on technology issues versus the current have to know everything.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's my honest take about this right now. If this was brought down to more of a local group, I think localized, like as in our cities, towns, states, etc., that's going to be a lot better than trying to do a federally mandated X, Y, and Z, because when I've seen most federal things, it's if Bob knows Larry, Bob's going to get Larry a job. Whether they know how to do the job or not are two totally different things. And when you have your stakeholders or folks that are sponsoring these paid federal positions, you can be bought out like NASCAR drivers, right? So instead of us seeing the sponsorships of who is owned by whom, my hope that we could do this as a nation on a federal level is very, 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 very low. I would hope in the next generation or two, we could go through and help encourage more folks to get involved with their locals governments, and then be able to help wash that upstream to where we're starting to then help with the federal level as well, getting younger folks who understand how the technology actually works so we can get those SMEs in there. But right now, with seeing the what Ajit Pai went through and did for us, or lack of doing for us, I'm not voting with confidence of the U.S. being able to do this at this point in time, as of March 16th of 2023.
You know, I was trying to forget that coffee cup.
Yeah. But what's your thoughts on it? Same question, back to you.
I could see it going either way because of how big a domain the internet is versus the entirety of the U.S. I guess it doesn't really matter either way, because if you go beyond U.S. borders, then you're not going to really be able to do anything anyway.
Right.
And you're still going to be falling back on the FBI and those kind of resources to do anything. So having a separate branch just for that probably wouldn't really make much difference. So it'd be probably coming down to maybe the lawyers in different groups having their own specific lawyer trained on these kind of issues and better knowledgeable on these, that they can present it to the judges that know the standard traditional law and be able to apply it.
Okay. Those are valid points. And much more optimistic.
I try to be.
I'm mostly positive most of the time. There are a couple things I have apparently become jaded on. But we have to have something better to replace it with. So just change for change's sake is not a good thing either. So hey, if we have people who can jump in, we have people who are passionate about doing this, man, more power to you. Let's see it actually make that change, right?
Yep.
Awesome sauce. All right. So those were our two stories in privacy or lack thereof. Let's jump into this week in security. And is this first one yours?
Yep. CISA now warns critical infrastructure of ransomware vulnerable devices. When I was making notes that I do beforehand, my title for this was the CISA Air Raid Siren.
Nice.
So today, the U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency announced a new pilot program to help critical infrastructure entities protect their information systems from ransomware attacks. Lots of repeated words. Through the Ransomware Vulnerability Warning Pilot, RVWP, which started on January 30th, 2023, CISA is undertaking a new effort to warn critical infrastructure entities that their systems have exposed vulnerabilities that may be exploited by ransomware threat actors. CISA's newly established Ransomware Vulnerability Warning Pilot program has two goals: to scan critical infrastructure entities' networks for internet-exposed systems with vulnerabilities that ransomware attackers often exploit, to breach networks and help vulnerable organizations fix the flaws before they get hacked. As part of RVWP, CISA leverages existing authorities and technology to proactively identify information systems that contain security vulnerabilities commonly associated with ransomware attacks. Once CISA identifies these affected systems, our regional cybersecurity personnel notify system owners of their security vulnerabilities, thus enabling timely mitigation before damaging intrusions occur. This is part of a broader effort to fend off escalating ransomware threat that started almost 2 years ago. I guess the escalation started 2 years ago. Ransomware's been out a lot longer than that.
Right.
After a barrage of cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure organizations and U.S. government agencies, starting with ransomware attacks that hit networks of Colonial Pipeline, JBS Foods, and Kaseya. So overall, I think decent idea. So it's basically they're going to start doing their own Shodan, and whenever these major issues come up that they know are being exploited, they'll send out notices to monitored groups that follow along with the U.S.'s cybersecurity plan.
Nice. Cool deal. Let's see, moving on to our next one. This one's actually coming from Slashdot, which is a cross-posting from Krebs on security. Two U.S. men charged in 2022 for hacking of the DEA portal. Two U.S. men have been charged with hacking into the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, or DEA, online portal that taps into 16 different federal law enforcement databases. Both are alleged to be part of a larger criminal organization that specializes in using fake emergency data requests from compromised police and government email accounts to publicly threaten and extort their victims. Prosecutors from the Eastern District of New York today unsealed criminal complaints against Sagar Stephen Sai, also known as Weep, a 19-year-old from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and Nicholas Ciarlo, 25, of Queens, New York, who allegedly went by the handles Convict and Omerous. Nope. Omnuous. Sure. I'm just going to take a strong fail pill and then continue moving forward here. The Justice Department says that Sai and Serrado belong to a group of cyber criminals known as members of VILE, capital V, lowercase I, uppercase L uppercase E, who specialize in obtaining personal information about third-party victims, which they use to harass, threaten, or extort their victims, known as doxing. The government alleges that on May 7th of 2020, Psy used stolen credentials to log into U.S. federal government portal without authorization. The complaint doesn't specify which agency portal was hacked, but it does state that the portal included access to law enforcement databases that track narcoleptic seizures in the narcotic seizures in the U.S. On May 12th of 2020, Krebs on Security broke the news. Prosecutors say that they tied Psy to the government portal hack because he connected to it from an internet address he had previously used to access a social media account registered to his name. When they raided Psy's residence on September 8th of 2022 and seized the devices, investigators with Holon Security found a cellular phone and laptop that allegedly contained extensive evidence of access to the portal. If convicted, he faces up to 20 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Both of the individuals face 5 years of imprisonment for conspiracy to commit computer intrusions. You can also see copies of the complaint in our show notes. All right, moving on to our next story. This next one is yours, correct there, Digital?
I believe so. AI-created YouTube videos spread around malware. Artificial intelligence is being used to generate videos pretending to be step-by-step tutorials on how to access programs like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Autodesk 3ds Max, AutoCAD, and others without a license. Instead, the videos are loaded with info-stealer malware that scrapes the viewer's sensitive personal data stored on the device. Researchers with Cloud SEK measured a month-over-month increase of 200 to 300% since November 2022 of AI-created YouTube videos with links to info-stealer malware, including Vidar, Redline, and Raccoon. Making the video lures more compelling to its targets, the Cloud SEK security team added AI video tools such as Sensia and DID are being used to generate personas intended to exude trustworthiness across multiple languages and social media platforms, supercharging threat actors' ability to deliver info-stealer malware. It is well known that videos featuring humans, especially those certain facial features, appear more familiar and trustworthy, the Cloud SEK report explained. Hence, there has been a recent trend of videos featuring AI-generated personas across languages and platforms, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, providing recruitment details, educational training, promotional materials, etc. And threat actors have also now adopted this tactic.
Wild, man.
I wonder if YouTube will start having a DMCA bot for people having their faces stolen.
That would that require them to have a database of all of our faces then to compare against?
They already have it.
You're right. My bad. You're absolutely right. Oh, fun stuff. All right,
Sorry, they don't have it. They don't have a database. They have an AI model.
Right. It just cross-references the database that's not known to us. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing we know, we're going to have more llamas in our living room. Okay, that was a stretch of a joke. But I think you got the next article as well.
So it talked a little bit with CISA's announcement, but Biden's admin cloud security problem. It could take down the internet like a stack of dominoes. Governments and business have spent 2 decades rushing to the cloud, trusting some of their most sensitive data to tech giants that promise near limitless storage, powerful software, and the know-how to keep it safe. Now the White House worries that the cloud is becoming a large security vulnerability.
Sorry, I should have muted. I'm trying to read this with a straight face. Oh my word.
So it's embarking on the nation's first comprehensive plan to regulate the security practices of cloud providers like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Oracle, whose servers provide data storage and computing power for customers ranging from mom and pop businesses to the Pentagon and CIA. The cloud has become essential to our daily lives, Kemba Walden, the acting national cyber director, said in an interview. If it's disrupted, it could create large, potentially catastrophic disruptions to our economy and to our government. The fear: for all the security expertise, the cloud giants offer concentrated targets that hackers could use to compromise or disable a wide range of victims all at once. Collapse of a major cloud provider could cut hospitals off from accessing medical records, paralyzing ports and railroads, corrupt the software that help financial markets hum, and wipe out databases across small businesses, public utilities, and government agencies. A single cloud provider going down could take down the internet like a stack of dominoes, said Mark Rogers, chief security officer at hardware security firm QNet Security and former head of information security at the content delivery provider Cloudflare, and a large name in the DEF CON community. Cloud servers haven't proved to be as secure as government officials had hoped. Hackers from nations such as Russia have used cloud servers from companies like Amazon and Microsoft as a springboard to launch attacks on other targets. Cyber criminal groups also regularly rent infrastructure from U.S. cloud providers to steal data or extort companies. Among other steps, the Biden administration recently said it will require cloud providers to verify the identity of their users to prevent foreign hackers from renting space on U.S. cloud servers. Implementing an idea first introduced in a Trump administration executive order. And last week, the administration warned that its national cybersecurity strategy, that more cloud regulations are coming, saying it plans to identify and close regulatory gaps over the industry. So next time you want to spin up your Linode, you might have to turn over your driver's license.
So we need more soda machines is what it sounds like, right, Digital?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a much longer article, but that's one of the most interesting points in there, that they're looking to regulate more of the cloud providers and attempt to secure them in their own visioned way.
Yeah, I mean, so as it is, over the last few years, it's gotten harder and harder to get a account on like DigitalOcean, Linode, or whatever else without turning over real information, your real identity, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let alone, even if you're not even going to get charged, you're still asked to go through and put a debit or credit card on file. Some places even go through more. And God help you if you're going through a VPN, because then you may not even be able to create an account, or that flag may permanently be flagged. It's just... I can say I have a few accounts from before times when things were getting locked down that I'm holding on to. But when trying to like create new tutorials of, hey, go ahead and sign up for XYZ, if you don't try that with a new account sometime, it can be difficult or downright impossible.
Yeah, there's still a lot of complaints that ChatGPT and the likes require a phone number.
Oh, yeah. I haven't tried logging back into mine since my 7-day trial for Mint is up. So I've talked about how I like Mint mobile cards for being able to do that, to create a temporary account, set up two-factor authentication. I also saw in the news today that T-Mobile is going to buy out Mint, even though it's an MVNO. And Ryan Reynolds has got a large part that he bought into that. They're buying the rest of it from the upper company that had the other percentage of it. And they're keeping Ryan Reynolds on as part of their sales folks. So we'll see how that all goes, and if it's going to stay as free and as usable, because like everything else, things are for a time in the season. It's never going to stay the same forever. So go get your Mint mobile cards now and store them, because they're good for a year.
So was that under 2 cows?
I don't think so, but the 2 cows was a lot more freedom loving in the past.
Yeah, that wasn't them. I forget what I thought they had a Ting. That was theirs.
There's oh yeah. That was Ting. Yep. I would like Ting if the service didn't suck so bad in my area. Yeah.
So the other funny thing I find about this article is that we're now deeming Amazon, Microsoft, and Oracle as being critical infrastructure before we declare the internet as critical infrastructure.
Right.
That whole net neutrality thing, yeah, they're just glossing over that fact.
Yeah. So we got Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Oracle. Those are the big cloud providers. It's okay. This is fine. And it's
So one of these probably are holding a gun to your head, but it's probably all of them actually.
yeah, right. No, this is true. It's absolutely so many of them will freaking lock you in, man. It's incredible. Trying to do home labs and be able to just dabble in each one of these is interesting. Cool. All right, moving on to our next section then for miscellaneous stories. Let's see. I believe this one's yours too. It's a heavy digital night. Digital, take it away. Unless you want to swap out, you tell me.
No, I'm good.
Go for it.
Because Flipper is having a heck of a year. Flipper Zero devices are being seized by Brazil's telecom agency. And at first I thought this was going to be another similar issue that they had in the US where they were seizing entire crates. But it sounds like instead, the local ISP is having all packages that come into the country from Flipper rerouted to be certified and then never actually getting it certified so that the person that ordered it never actually receives them. They're doing this over concerns of cybersecurity issues and how this evil device will be able to hack into their network, let alone all the other devices that do the exact same thing that are still getting through.
Right. Yeah, typically when folks try to tighten their grip on limiting hardware, it has the opposite effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it said, it even mentioned like if you end up flying it in or getting it through a different method, then you're still getting it.
Right.
So maybe you just have to order it through Hacker Warehouse, so it's got a different name on the label.
There you go. That is a valid point.
Yeah, this is on top of the U.S. holding a large shipment of theirs hostage in the port and then charging them rent, PayPal locking out their account, and having to flee their home country.
Oh, that's right. That also happened too. It's been a nuts year, dude. Absolutely nutty year. All right. So with that one, moving on to the next thing. Hey, I'm really enjoying my Steam Deck. How about you?
I've been liking mine.
Cool. Apparently, I just skipped an entire section there, Gator. Good job. We'll go back to the Steam Deck here in another minute. The next miscellaneous story was OpenAI announces GPT-4, the next generation of its AI language model. This happened on March 14th. We're recording on March 16th. Apparently, the creators of ChatGPT have finally revealed GPT-4, capable of accepting text and image inputs. I have not played with this one at this point. There is some chatter talking about that Microsoft's Bing chatbot has already been powered off of GPT-4. The OpenAI is also cautious that the systems retain many of the same problems as earlier language models, including the tendency to make up information or hallucinate, and the capacity to generate violent and harmful text. So, yeah, we'll continue to see where this heads. Have you played with it at all, Digital?
I played a little bit with ChatGPT 3 when it first came out,
Mm-hmm.
and then didn't really touch it again.
Yep. I've pretty much done the
I probably
same
should do a little bit more as far as like doing templates and stuff. And, form emails. So like if someone gets a help breach, maybe have it write the actual email and then just edit it to what I need it to be.
Sure.
But so far I've been able to work out everything on my own that I don't need something to make it for me.
Maybe like a report or a presentation that you need on a given subject, right?
Oh, shut up.
Sorry. All right, I'll go back to my
No,
corner.
no, don't give me ideas.
Talking about
At
ideas.
least not like that.
How about 20 years later, Second Life is launching on mobile? Its so-called proto-metaverse will leap from desktops for the first time. I saw this headline and it's like, I have not heard about Second Life in a very, very long time. And Digital, you had a comment on that,
Yeah, we were talking beforehand about kind of surprising how it's launching on mobile and not VR.
right?
Of course, I would have found it even funnier, just thinking, if they announced they were going to be launching on Google Glass right before they shut it down.
No kidding, right? So Linden Lab was working on a VR successor to Second Life called Sansor for years, but ultimately stopped work on the project and sold it off. Sansor has hopped owners a couple times, and its future remains uncertain. So, I was sharing with you before the show. This was one of the first things that I think when I was doing early college classes, we were starting to jump in and play with Second Life early days, but it was age locked. And me just being in high school and going to college classes was under that restriction. And the teacher's like, oh, yeah, totally just have your parents go sign up, or you can make a secondary account, right? I'm like, oh, lie about my age on the internet. What a novel idea. And went from there. Wild times, man. All right, let's talk about some cool tools that we found this week.
So this one is not sponsored, but seemed kind of interesting. NordVPN makes its MeshNet private tunnel free for everyone. NordVPN's MeshNet private tunnel feature for Windows, macOS, and Linux is now free for everyone, even users that do not have a subscription to NordVPN. It was first launched in June 2022 as a paid feature, allowing users to create private encrypted tunnels between devices they trust to pass network traffic, essentially creating their own VPN servers. For example, the MeshNet allows someone to route their network traffic from their smartphone through their home computer while away on holiday, making it appear as if they're browsing from their usual location. The user's traffic may also be passed through a secure tunnel on a friend or relative's computer, as long as they are using the MeshNet app and have been invited into their friend's mesh. So there's a couple other products that are similar to this that a lot of people have used to play games together, but this gives you another option, as well as potentially a way to not open up firewall ports and expose vulnerable systems to the internet.
Man, this reminds me of Hamachi way, way back in the day.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Okay.
That's the one I keep hearing about that they use for gaming.
Oh, man, I remember doing that for Halo and Age of Empires. That's a throwback.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to have folks take a look at it to see how secure it is, too, because I know we've had some on the NordVPN side of the house. We've talked about how they do collect logs, but if you're trying to make your own custom network for your own devices, it's interesting. And not charging for it. That reminds me very much of Hamaji before they got by a LogMeIn.
Yeah, it does say that people are concerned to make sure that they're not the product for this.
Right.
And the company explained in a press release that MeshNet is inexpensive to operate, requiring a tiny portion of the company's massive global infrastructure of 5,000 servers in 59 countries. Hence, making it available to everyone will not result in a notable financial burden for NordVPN. Opening up to a wider audience doesn't require us to develop new systems and invest more than we already have. At the same time, NordVPN says that Move aligns with its core value of helping make the internet a safer place for all users, regardless of whether they can afford a subscription to its products. It probably doesn't hurt that they can show you ads.
Right. And for the social good of it, that's kind of a cool...
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. So I'll look forward to seeing people's talk next year on how and what they used it for.
I would use it if I could get it to work.
Oh, you were trying to get it up and running?
Yeah, I had it working for a while.
Okay.
That way I could get out from behind the triple net I was originally behind at my previous place.
Mm.
And then it just suddenly stopped working, and I haven't been bothered enough to fix it.
Gotcha.
But I've got the feature enabled, but then when I connect to the VPN on either device, they both say that they're disconnected and can't talk to each other.
Really? Okay. Well, I think when it comes to the mesh networks or creating your personal VPNs and whatnot, I've talked to you about how I love using my digital ocean droplet and then the Road Warrior Open VPN script that you can get yourself up and running in less than 5 minutes, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
you're pivoting through a cloud. You can then put your certificates on each one of your end devices, and then everything's encrypted end to end. Great. So when you're remote, you're good to go. So I was getting ready to do a presentation on setting up a home lab. I was going through and installing RHEL 9. Long story short, I had issues that night. I ended up staying up 24 hours. I was supposed to get on the road and start driving down to Pasadena. And, well, let's just say, because of sleep deprivation, when trying to install the OpenVPN client with just the default RHEL subscription, the GNOME or GNOME-OpenVPN software wasn't in there. I forgot that it was an EPEL. So I'm like, I got to get on the road in the next 30 minutes. I am having a brain fart. What should I do here? I don't have enough time to wipe, format, reinstall with RHEL 8, and then I know it's there. I know there are EPELs there. I can get up and running. So I decided, okay, heck, let's try this Tailscale thing. I hear good things about it, hear how easy it is. If I can set up my DigitalOcean in 5 minutes when things are working correctly and the software's there to support, how fast is this Tailscale thing? So jump onto the Tailscale site, because that's using WireGuard in the back end. Jump onto the Tailscale, sign up for an account, download the software, and it connects. Oh, that was fast. Go over to the desktop that I was remoting into, go over to my laptop that I was remoting into, and in less than 5 minutes, like 2 minutes, I was having point to point to where I could go through and connect from my laptop to my end device. And apparently you can do up to 20 devices with Tailscale before you start paying for it. So I'm not sure that I'm going to keep it long-term wise, but if you wanted to set something up quickly, just username and password to get yourself up and running. And when you download the software for your device, it has you log in with that same information, and you're up and running. So it was really freaking fast.
Nice.
Yeah. And then for me being able to try to like manage it with Cockpit, I was able to put in my IP address for the end device, :9090, popped right up, no problems, and I'm like, yes, I can get on the road now. So it was an unexpected, hey, I need to try something new, and then obviously on the road it's like, well, dummy, you could have just installed EPEL and installed your OpenVPN client, but nah, sleep deprivation, it'll do things to you. So with that, now Steam Deck wise, what are you currently playing on it, or what is the things that you're working on it right now?
So I want to play Chaos Head, but kind of fell off that while I was waiting for the patch to come out to help with the translation.
Okay.
So instead, I've been playing Valkyria Chronicles, which is a 3D tactical game.
Ooh, all right. Sounds like fun. Let's see. On my side of the house, some more Final Fantasy Crisis Core, and I'm hearing lots of good things of the Son of the Forest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cross-platform, a little bit of horror, murder, hobo, all this other jazz. So the nice thing is that it's more than 4-player compatible. So you can jump in, unlike so many other games out there that'll only allow 4 people to jump online together. This will let you do more.
The only thing I've heard about that, though, is that right now it's in early access.
Yes.
And it seems to be almost a one-for-one copy of The Forest.
Yes, I've heard the same
As
thing.
they're working on to develop it out, they're going to add more features. But right now it's kind of what you've already played if you've played the original.
Yeah, so I picked up the original on recommendation from a couple folks, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we moved on to the Sons of the Forest." I'm like, "Well, son of a nutcrack. Okay, fine, let's do this thing." They're like, "Don't do any studying on it. You want to go in blind." I'm like, "So I can't even read what the game is?" They're like, "Reading what the game is will give away 90% of what you're gonna find out in the first 5 minutes." Oh, okay, cool. So let me just go blindly get this game then, and let's see how that works out. So my best understanding is like it's Ark meets Minecraft meets Horror Survivor. So fun stuff. And Steam decks are they've got a sale going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 10% off all three models.
Really?
So I doubt you're going to see that anytime soon after this. And I'm kind of surprised they're doing that after Gabe was very hesitant to even release it at its original price.
Right. And I mean, from folks that I hear picking them up now, they are getting them within 1 week.
Yeah, right now it shows expected delivery date of 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. Nice.
So they may have given them an extra week just in case with the sale,
That makes sense.
hoping that there isn't a massive rush, but if there is, have some leeway.
Perfect. And you and I both came across this next article. So, fun part, I'll lead in by saying Callie turned 10 years old, which was fun. And with that, they did something new. You want to tell us about it?
I was going to say, you need a new operating system for that Steam Deck. You always got to customize everything. So why not put Kali Purple on it? So according to them, Kali Purple started out as a proof of concept, evolved into a framework, then a platform, and now has become so big that they don't even have a word for it anymore. So why not just call it a movement? A movement to make enterprise-grade security accessible to everyone. So the idea is that standard Kali is your red team OS. Kali Purple is your purple blue team. So this is more focused on defensive and investigative versus the attack side.
Yay! About times the blue team gets some love, my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got other ones out there that are more the blue team facing, much like Security Onion. You can go through and set yourself up. One of the many different elk stacks that are going on. You've got the stuff from Black Hills Information Security, whether you're doing active countermeasure or ACM Community Edition or Rita. But I will say there are some drawbacks to every single one of those. They're cool, don't get me wrong, and you can get something in your home lab, which is great. So I'll be interested to see if folks want to have purple in their home. That's kind of cool, you know? So I guess we're gonna have to take a look at the Darknet course and see about playing with some more purple now versus just Kali. Yeah, what some of the tools look like. They got ElasticSem. They've got Archime. That's a new one on me. Malcolm, Hedgehog, and nice new purple theme. With the install, looks like you have a handful of different environments you can install. The default is XFCE. You could install GNOME or KDE. And then you have options for installing defensive tools by purpose, including Identity, Protect, Detect, Respond, and Recover. Oh, and that's a kind of nice theme, man.
And there's a reason why Ubuntu had purple there for a long time.
Right? Cool. So
Although,
I have downloaded it. That'll be fun.
You can tell it's not the hacker distribution.
No, why not?
It's not black by default.
And there's no the quieter you are, the more you can hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a sock in the box. Look at that. DMZ. Yeah, this could be a lot of fun. Awesome sauce. And look at that, running on Proxmox base. All right, I'm gonna stop drooling and say, hey, is there anything that we want to be able to talk about? Any projects that you're working on that you want to share?
Um, right now, just working on the Forensics 500 class from Sands. So
Nice.
that's going to be the rest of this week, and probably a slight break after that just to recover.
Right.
It's a lot of information. They keep comparing. It's like, yeah, this is essentially an entire college semester in a week. Oh, yeah, I guess that is kind of right.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't burn yourself out, right?
That's why it's been a while since I did my last one. It's like, all right, do two back to back. Let's take a break after that. And then
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be hiring a new person that then they can go through and take some classes, and I'll consider other options.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. On jumping into learning side of the house or training, I was able to take a pretty epic course on uh, Stack Rocks, or our downstream version of that called ACS, Advanced Cluster Security, and learning how to stand that up on different platforms. So it's interesting to see what is out there for being able to scan different images and at what time frame. If you're scanning the images, if you're scanning runtime, or if it's once the machines are, or the containers are up and running. So there are a lot of moving parts to Kubernetes. it's it's I've still got a couple more staging boxes here in the home lab that I'm trying to get up and running with it. So I'm on the cusp of understanding and being able to jump in. So once it's there, man, I tell you what, uh, Kubernetes cluster on my belt. That's what I'm shooting for. I'll just go ahead and have it tap into me as a battery so it'll keep on running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fun stuff. Cool. All right then. I will get our stuff edited and pushed to our Podbean because I think there was an issue with that recently. You can obviously go through and find things on our YouTube channel. So we're trying to make sure to keep this going on a weekly basis so you can stay up to date with the cybersecurity, privacy projects, and other news that are going on. You can find me on Twitter at Gator, which is spelled Gater underscore BYTE. You can also find me over on Mastodon at the same. Digital?
At digital underscore tinker on both Twitter and defcon.social.
Fantastic. If you guys have any articles that you have seen, throw that at us so then we can go through and make sure to bring it into our next week's podcast. With that, we will see you same bat time, same bat channel next week.
See you then.
Bye. The countdown digital. 146 days, 10 hours, 55 minutes, and 25 seconds.